Good day, all, and welcome to another edition of Local Legislator Live at 11. I am your host, Charles Gates, and I'm so happy you're here to join us this morning in this wonderful raw interview. Local Legislator Live at 11 is a component of locallegislator.net, where our mission is to be the premier source of local election information in the U.S. and an advocate for the sustainability of local business nationwide. This morning, we have Virginia Beach School Board candidate seeking re-election, Miss Trenace Riggs. Good morning.
Good morning. How are
Okay,
you?
I'm doing fantastic, fantastic. Now, this is a raw interview. We don't fluff it up. We get right to it. So we're going to start this interview off with the very first question, which is, tell us about you. What is your education and occupation, and why are you seeking re-election for Virginia Beach School Board?
I am a um, retired 37-year teacher, and I all 35 years of that 37 years I taught in Virginia Beach. The first 2 years that I taught on Knott's Island, which is part of Currituck County, North Carolina. I am a product of the system. I was born and raised here. Went to Woodstock Elementary and graduated from Kempsville High School. So after I retired in 2012, I became the Virginia Beach Education Association president. And so I served in that office for 4 years. And after I served that position for 4 years, I'm like, okay, what do I do now? I wasn't ready to throw in the towel because I've always been a passionate advocate for public education. And like everyone was saying, well, the next best thing or the next thing you should do is run for school board for Virginia Beach. So I did. And I wanted to continue advocating, especially for the children and the families of Virginia Beach and the teachers and employees. And being on the school board and in that position gave me the opportunity to continue to advocate and to work for them. So that's why I ran. And I was elected 4 years ago, and I'm still, wanting to serve. And especially during these times, education is really taking a hit right now during the pandemic. We all are, but especially education and our children and our families. And I certainly wouldn't give up on them now. So I am seeking re-election to continue doing the good works that Virginia Beach Public Schools have been known for. And I want to continue serving our families and our teachers and our employees and our kids. We are, like I said, we're one of the top school systems in the nation, and I think we've handled the pandemic really well. So I want to continue supporting our fantastic supervisors and our administrators in the admin building and all over the schools, as well as our superintendent. He is great. So that's me. I also served on the VEA board, the Virginia Education Association board, for 8 years. And so that gave me an insight, even more in-tuned insight to education and across our state, as well as across the nation, because I was active also in the NEA. But being able to talk with people and educators and administrators and just everyone across the state helped me put in perspective where Virginia Beach was and how successful we were, or what we needed to do, and what we also needed to do as a board on the VEA to help the other localities in our state. So that was very important to get that information, and it was very helpful. I feel fortunate that I was able to serve on the VEA as well.
Okay, now the VEA, what does that stand for again? Virginia?
Virginia Education Association.
And the NEA is the
NEA is the
national.
National Education Association.
Gotcha. Now, what is your name on the ballot on November 3rd?
It,
What is your name? Full name?
it's Trenace Riggs. Bass is my maiden name.
Okay. Trenace Riggs. Got it. Now, we understand that school board candidates are not required to disclose any political affiliations. Do you associate with any party at all?
I try to be as independent as possible. because I try not to affiliate with a party. However, being an educator, I tend towards the Democratic Party. They're very supportive of public education, and so I appreciate their support. And I am on the Democratic ballot. The local Democrats in Virginia Beach are supporting me and are endorsing me, and they have me on their ballot. And I really appreciate their support. So I do tend to um, go towards the Democratic um, goals and ideas and ideals, especially in education. However, there are things that, I agree with in both parties. So I try to be nonpartisan as much as possible. And that is another reason why I liked running for the school board and don't have any desire to run for any other office. The school board is where I belong and where I want to be and where I want to serve. So it's a nonpartisan seat. It should be. And so I try my hardest to do that. When you're in an election, you really need the support of a party, obviously, whether it's nonpartisan or not. And so like I said, I appreciate the Democratic Party, and I am a member of the Democratic Party in Virginia Beach. So yes.
Okay. Now you've already told us how long you've lived in Virginia Beach, and I take it based on your feelings that you have not held any previous public offices before school board.
No, I've not held any public offices before school board.
Okay. And it doesn't
No,
sound
I
like you
don't
have
like being political. Ha ha.
it doesn't sound like you have aspirations to go past that point. But you know what? Being on the school board is a big deal to any community. And a school board that's run efficiently is definitely an asset to everyone who lives in the neighborhood and in the town in which you serve. So we applaud your efforts. Now, to our viewers out there, if you like this interview and would like to see more like it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, connect with us on Twitter and Instagram, and more importantly, tell us what you want to hear from or or what organization you would like to hear from in the future. And we do our best to get that person or that organization rep on the air. Now, Ms. Riggs, what has been your community involvement besides the VEA and those acronyms you gave us earlier? And how has all of that helped you to prepare for this moment?
Well, I've always worked in volunteering with children and teachers and education. So that's probably my biggest passion, obviously. I have been worked as a Sunday school teacher for many, many years, and a chaperone for our youth groups and our children's groups in my church in the past, especially while my own two children were growing up, which they're fully grown and fully independent. They live in this area. My son lives in Virginia Beach, and my daughter lives in Chesapeake. So they both went to Tallwood High School, graduated from there. And fortunately enough, they also went to the same elementary school that I attended as a child.
No.
Yeah, so it was very nice. It feels really good to go home, and I go to that school often. It's Woodstock. And I was also on the Woodstock PTA board for years, as long as my children were attending Woodstock. Um, I was the chair of the money raising part, and worked a lot on things with the schools and volunteered with that. I was a cheering coach for their little cheering squads. Um, so I've done a lot of volunteer work like that, and work with children in the schools. Stayed busy all the time. I don't know how I did it all, but I did. And was very involved with my own two children and any activities they were involved with.
Okay. Now, if reelected, what are your four top goals?
Okay, my first very obvious goal is to get our children back to school safely, and our teachers and our employees back to school safely, but not before it's safe enough to get them all back. So I really like the plan that Dr. Spence came up with to phase in our groups of children, and to phase them in when when the rubrics are right and the metrics are right, to phase them in that way. So I don't think he's taken too long, as some people think he is, maybe parents especially. But we want to make sure that they're safe. And we know the children are going to be basically safe, but we have to have teachers, and we have to have bus drivers and administrators and teacher assistants. And they, adults, are the ones that do come down with COVID. And we need to make sure they're protected too. As we were talking earlier, we have lost a lot of teachers in the month of August and September, because many of them decided it was just too much. They didn't feel safe or comfortable enough, and so ones that felt like they could go ahead and retire, they did, and some people just decided to resign. So we can't afford that. We want to make sure we take care of them, and we need to let them know that they're safe. So that's my first goal, and getting us back to school. It's been so good to see our kids waiting at the bus stop this week and last week, and be so excited. And I'll see one I saw one in 7-Eleven the other day, and she was very young, her mom was getting her a Slurpee. She had a cute little dress on with all these little school things on it, like blackboards and pencils. And I said, "Did you just go to school today?" And she goes, "Mm-hmm." So her mom was buying her Slurpee, and I said, "Well, what grade are you in?" She said, "Second." I said, "Were you glad to get back to school?" And she was just, yeah, she was so excited. So the people that I've talked to, the kids are just so excited. And it doesn't matter especially these young ones, that they have to wear masks. They're wearing the masks very well. I've talked to teacher friends, and they're like, we're having no problem with them keeping their mask on in the class. And, they're just so excited about being back. They're doing a good job. And I also am trying to be involved in the virtual learning. So I went to the Chrysler Museum yesterday for a virtual lesson. That it was a virtual lesson through a virtual field trip with a art teacher from Providence. And she taught her 3rd grade class, her 4th grade class, and her 5th grade class, elements of art at the Chrysler Museum while we walked through the museum. And she strolled them, pushed them on the cart on the computer so they could see all the things, and she taught the lesson. That was marvelous. She did a fantastic job. We have some fantastic teachers. And then when I came home, I got on a virtual lesson with a science teacher from Larkspur, 6th grade science, and was involved in her lesson. It was on the tides and the moon, how it affects the tides, and everything that could go wrong went wrong. But she, being the teacher she is and the pro she is, she just kept on and rerouted the kids, and the kids were fantastic. They would help her with being quiet and listening, or playing music while she was trying to get something else up for them. But that's technology, and that's what happens. So I got to see both, and it was nice. And I will continue to do that. I can't go into schools yet because we don't need any more people in there than we already have because of the social distancing. But I'm very active as a school board member. I go to the schools a lot. I read to them. I go and visit their classes. I go listen, go to some of their personal professional training and development that they have in the school with the other teachers. Just, I like to see what's going on. And I am just impressed so much with what our school system does. To see all the programs and things we do just amazes me every time I go to one of the events. My second is to make sure these teachers and these employees get paid what they're worth. And obviously, since 2008, the pay has just tremendously tumbled and not been what they are, not, continue to grow like they have. And so we need to make sure that we increase the pay. And I want to get it closer, much closer, because we're way down the list of states in the national average. So we need to get closer to the national average. We're going to have to really work on getting that. I mean, because now we're seeing that if we don't have something to recruit and retain these teachers, they're not going to stay. And we don't need our experienced teachers to leave either, because they are a major backbone. Without that experience, it's going to be hard for our new teachers to be successful. So my first goal after getting them back to school safely is to make sure that we work on getting this pay raise. And I know that COVID has taken a major hit on education as far as financially. So I know that it's going to be difficult, more difficult than the last couple of years. Because the last couple of years we were doing really, much better, not good, but better. So I don't want to see us cut anything else. And that not is not only for teachers, that's also for our employees, our bus drivers, our teacher assistants, everyone, because I do support everybody. So that's my second. My third goal is to make sure we don't increase their pay through increasing the class size. And a lot of times that's where our one major time in the last couple of years, we had to increase the class size. It was like, which do you want? Increase your class size and get more pay, or keep your class size lower and lower it and continue at the stagnant pay that you're at. So, we had to juggle, but all of it, many of us on the school board said, we're not doing that anymore. If we can't, we're not going to give them the raise on their backs. Let's turn around and slapping them in the face, especially the teachers, because we've increased the workload with the amount of kids in the classroom, and the kids can't learn as well when it's that many kids in a classroom. So I will continue to work to keep these make the class loads go down and smaller. Now, right now, we are being able to keep many of them small because of the COVID. But some of them, the virtuals are large because they can stay home, and we need it because we don't have all the teachers that we need. We have hired a lot. In fairness, we hired 132 teachers when we lost the 70. So we did have, we have been able to hire some as well, but we still are short. And my fourth and final one is we need to help our employees, all of our employees, with compensation, not only with a pay raise, but with if we can do other things like their health insurance. Health insurance is so expensive for everyone, but that was supposed to be one of the benefits of being in education, is to get good health insurance that wouldn't make you poor, and it's just been raised such an exponential amount in the past several years that anything we can do to help them. So I am on the fact-finding committee for our pharmaceuticals, and to see if we can do a pharmacy, satellite pharmacy for our school system. And because we are together with our city employees and city workers, city council, there's a couple of people from city council and me and another school board member are on this fact-finding mission to find out what it takes to start a satellite pharmacy where we can lower their pharmaceutical cost to help them. I know that Chesapeake does it, and they've done a really good job. They've opened, I think they have 4. So our next meeting, we were getting ready to meet and COVID hit back in March. So our first meeting was in September, and our next meeting is this month in October, and we're going to go on a field trip to see the pharmacy, one of the pharmacies in Chesapeake, to see how it works. But I would love to see us to be able to do that. So we're going to see what it takes to see if we can help out.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that fourth goal, because in my conversation with your colleague Beverly Anderson yesterday, she was talking about that satellite initiative in Chesapeake and how you and some of your colleagues are going to be part of this committee to look at bringing that to Virginia Beach. I never heard of that before. So, you know what, this is why we like to do these shows, so people out there, our viewers, can become aware that, because when I heard satellite pharmacy, I didn't even know what it was. I said, satellite phone? What the heck is that? I'm thinking cable TV coming from satellites, and I'm like, what's that got to do with pharmacy? But now I'm glad between you and Miss Anderson, now you have explained that, and now it's up to us to do the research and follow
Mm.
up with you to figure out, okay, how is that going to help us as community? So
Well,
thank you for putting that.
Both Bev and I have been proponents of this. Matter of fact, when I was the VBEA president, supposedly my vice president that was going to be my vice president decided to go to Chesapeake after being here for many, many years. And one of the reasons she went to Chesapeake is because of that, because of the
Really?
healthcare cost. It made such a difference with her pay that she went there. And then when she got started, she called me and told me all about that pharmacy. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, this sounds good. I really want to do this. So every convention or conference that Bev Anderson and I have gone to, whether it's national superintendent or the state superintendent, sometimes they have vendors that are there that tote different things, and that's one of the up and coming is these pharmacies for
Mm.
school systems.
That
So
is so
we're
interesting.
trying hard to do something with it.
No,
It's costly, I think, but if Chesapeake can do it, Virginia Beach and the city of Virginia Beach should be able to do something.
sure. Well, Ms. Riggs, I'm always looking at school systems. I mean, we're not, Hampton Roads isn't the only school system in the country. There are other municipalities who are just like us in terms of a makeup. And I think too many times we reinvent the wheel when there's already a potential, maybe not a solution, but a concept out there that can be adopted here. I think sometimes we just need to reach out and touch those who are like us and have adopted these initiatives and say, hey, you know what? We may not be able to do exactly what you're doing, but we can at least tap in and make our own version of what you're doing to make our situation even better. So we commend you for taking that next step to to investigate what Chesapeake is doing, a neighboring town.
Mhm.
And for our viewers out there who aren't from Virginia, we are talking about Chesapeake, Virginia, and Virginia Beach, Virginia, by the way. And we commend you for doing that and taking that next step. And lastly, how can we find out more information about you and your campaign?
Okay, well, I do have a website. It is trenaceriggs.com. Very simple. And I also have a Facebook page, and I tweet. I also have Instagram. And so I put most of the things on my Facebook page, and it's Trenace Fast Night Riggs for school board. So that's my Facebook page. And you'll see the positive things I do. I don't put anything negative. I don't agree with that. And I don't like negative things. I won't do that. So you can see that. And then on my website, as well as the Virginia Beach Education Association website. There's a lot of things on there that you'll see that really, talk about some of their candidates that they are supporting. And I'm obviously one of them because I am an educator, and that's what VBEA is. It's the Virginia Beach Education Association. So it deals with education, and they know educators, and they know what they're looking for to see on the school board to support our educators in our school system.
Okay, now for our viewers out there that may not be aware of how you spell your first name, would you spell that for us?
Okay, it's T as in Tom, Renace. Just think ACE, Trenace.
Ah, okay. That's easy to remember. In the speaking world, we call that a phrase that pays because it stays top of mind. You got to compare it with something else. So
Yes.
fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for educating us as viewers and as listeners. And we wish you the best of luck in your campaign and Godspeed to you and everything that you do. And to our viewers out there, again, you have been listening to Virginia Beach School Board candidate that's hoping and seeking re-election, Miss Trenace Riggs. And if you like this interview, again, Make sure you connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're everywhere. We're on all the socials, and we can be found at Local Legislator. Again, I am your host, Charles Gates. You have been watching Local Legislator Live at 11. Ms. Riggs, thank you so much for your time. Take care of yourself. And to our viewers, remember, we're not global, we're local. Until next time, take care.